The federal government's directive for all taxable Nigerians to obtain their tax identification number or risks being denied access to banking services has been sending jitters all across the nation. Many Nigerians are beginning to get scared of what the future holds for their income come year 2026. And perhaps in a bid to calm the fraying nerves of many Nigerians, today's edition of Trending from the Stables of Pensioners 106.7 FM will be addressing some controversies surrounding this new directive by the federal government of Nigeria. We shall also be taking a look at some other provisions of the new tax law signed by President Bola Tinubu. On behalf of the producer of Trending, Babatunde Tiamiyo, the DC on duty, Oluwaseun Awoyemi MC Prince, and the entire members of the production crew, I am Israel ADEJUMOBI, and I welcome you to Trending on Pensioners 106.7 FM. You're on to Trending live on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Like I established at the section of the show this morning, we'll be taking a look at the controversies surrounding federal government's directive for all Nigerians. Of course, the federal government has clarified that this directive is for all taxable Nigerians to obtain their tax identification number or risk being denied access to banking services starting off from year 2026. And like I said, many Nigerians are asking so many questions as regards what this policy will look like and how it affects them. So we're going to be looking at all of this on the show this morning. And I've been joined in this conversation this morning by a financial expert and public affairs analyst in the person of Mr. Kayode Atolani. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Israel.
It's good to have you around on the show this morning.
It's a pleasure, my brother. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me on the show. All right, so let's get started. Before we talk about this federal government's directive, which actually has it that all Nigerians, all taxable Nigerians, should obtain their tax ID and all of that. Now, some people believe that this current administration, seems to have a relentless pursuit for revenue generation, generating revenue at all costs. And some people will say that that is not all there is to governance, that it shouldn't be at the expense of people's welfare and all that. So that's the argument in some quarters. So I wanted to speak to this.
Yes, thank you so much, Israel. My own view of this scenario is the government is not doing anything bad in the area of generating revenue. It's part of governance. It's part of their duties to generate revenue. And when we're generating revenue, it must come through or from the citizens, not from animals, not from foreigners that are not residing or living in the country. It is still from the citizens and residents, business owners, and people like that generate income. That is the only way through which government can generate revenue. But the problem here is the revenue generated already. How is it being spent? When people are being compelled to manage, when people are being compelled to understand, endure, yet we see some flamboyant spending. We see some the way they live too extravagant in their governance. The way they spend people's money, the way they spend the already generated revenue is not encouraging the citizens to continue cooperating with them. That is the only problem we have. The system is not really good.
Now, as regards this directive, let's talk about it. Like I said, there are so many controversies surrounding this particular directive by the federal government, and people are asking the question, what is going to be the effects of this policy on our daily lives as far as our economic activities are concerned? So let's start with the clause, taxable Nigerians. So help us understand what that means, okay? Because, some people will ask the question, if they say someone is taxable, what does that mean? So let's start from there.
It's a good thing. It's a good question you ask, and it is our duty to ask this question. At least that is part of obligations of radio stations like this one that is being listened to by, very large populace. But I still want to say this. All this stress we are putting ourselves into to explain to people is still part of a bad system of our government, because we have an agency in charge of this kind of a thing, which we call NOAA, National Orientation Agency. They have been up and doing. This information supposed to have been circulated well. People should have been well informed and educated about this thing. But by and large, we still have the duty to explain it to people. When we talk of tax ID and taxable citizens, this thing has been generating so many confusion among people, in the midst of people, in the mind of people. And it's supposed not to, because we have explained this thing several times on several occasions. What is this tax reform all about? We said the tax reform exonerated some set of people. Who are these people exonerated from the tax reform? People that have low salaries, low wages, low turnover, low business capital, low what do we say, income, if your income is low, generally, you are not supposed to pay tax. Once you are being identified as one of the category of these people, you are not taxable. You are not affected by this tax payment. People that are depending only on their gratuity, the pensioners, they are not taxable. Those people are in the category of non-taxable citizens, which this tax ID we are talking about will in no way affect them.
Now, looking at the definition I have right here, as provided for in this particular document by the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, people, of course, based on the questions that people are asking, that, is it true that everyone must obtain a tax ID before opening or continuing to operate a bank account? The answer is yes, but with some clarifications. It said Section 4 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act requires all taxable persons to register with the tax authority and obtain a tax ID. Now, it went ahead to say that a taxable person is someone who carries on a trade, business, or other economic activity to earn income. So don't you think that even for low-income earners, they are also included, because they are also involved in one economic activity or the other, and they are earning something, no matter how little it is. So don't you think they are also required to get their tax ID?
You are required to get tax ID.
Okay.
Getting tax ID is different from paying tax.
Okay.
Without getting this tax ID, nobody will be able to know what is your capacity, what is your financial strength. Are you taxable or not taxable? It won't be known. And so many people, or let me say majority of our people, we don't really want to pay tax. And don't forget that from the time immemorial, we'll be hearing it even from our forefathers. Dandan lowo ori. So if owo ori is dandan, as far back as those ages, that means it is still necessary now. It is important. But are people paying? No. The outright right answer is no. They are not paying. Now, it has been identified that people are not ready to pay. Fine. And government wants people to pay for generation of revenue. That one is clear. How do we enforce it? To enforce it, government must know what you earn. And if you don't have a tax ID, which is just, we can equate that tax ID to key that opens gate to your finances from the tax department. It is not, the tax ID doesn't really mean that once you obtain it, you must pay tax. We have different interpretation to this. But you must have it in order to let government have access to know, to have information about your finances, about your income. What is your worth? Are you up to that level of paying tax? If no, nobody disturbs you. Nobody disturbs your finances. Nobody disturbs your income. But Nigerians, we will not do anything mandated to do until it is being attached to an inevitable exercise.
But don't you think this measure is too harsh? This measure was put in place by the federal government, denying people access to banking activities. Are you not? Don't you think that this is too harsh?
I don't think it is harsh. And why I don't think it is harsh it is, we're talking of 2026 for the implementation. And they have instructed everybody, go and register, go and obtain tax ID. Between now and December and January, why are we not doing this thing? The condition is, once you have it, they won't deny you of your operations, banking operations, insurance operations, and things like that. But remember, until the expiry date is approaching, people will not, you will see very soon by December or towards the end of December or early January, you will see people rushing into this thing to do. Then that stress will now be much on them. The time they will waste will be higher than now. We have every right, we have the freedom, we have the liberty to do or not to do. But if you don't do, this is the punishment. Remember the name. Remember BVN. They would have announced this thing earlier enough for you to cooperate. But because we won't do until either expired or until we have been denied of some activities. Why do we need to wait until then? They are not saying have it now or your bank will be, you'll be denied of your banking activities now or next week or next month. Look at the ample months that is in between. Why are we not?
There is enough time for Nigerians.
Why are we not? Yes, why are we not doing? Why? Is there any reason for that? For not doing it now, when it is still easy and free to do?
Some people say that this is in a bid, that the philosophy behind this idea is to secretly track the financial activities of Nigerians. That's the way some people are seeing it, that perhaps this is a ploy by government to track the financial activities of Nigerians. That's what some people are also saying in some quarters.
And I believe you as a person, you will not be afraid of tracking your financial activities by government, because I see you as legitimate citizen that is not into any shady business. If you don't have any shady business, you are not getting involved in money laundering, you are not getting involved in illegitimate money making, you are not getting your money in an ill manner.
But why should government be interested in tracking my financial activity?
Because they want to know how much you have. Are you qualified to pay tax or not? If you continue to do the same thing the same way, we'll continue to get the same result every time. These Western countries we are equating, or we want to compare ourselves, go and look at the government of US. They can't acquire so much wealth as we do without payment of tax. And that is possible only when government and tax department have access to what is coming in, your inflowing and outflowing. Until then. So why are we afraid of having transparency with government about our finances? We have legitimate work, we have our salary, we have our legitimate business. Why? What is? See, there is one certificate that is being mandatory for some organization like NGO. They call it SCULM. SCULM. It is about some company will not still want to obtain it, because they know why they are opening their account, they know why they are operating their organization. Full of shady businesses. Until we try and normalize things, the system is not working at all. The only problem is these people that are in charge of normalizing things, are they also normal in their operations? That's the only way I see so many faults in this policy. Ordinarily, this policy is to increase the economic progress of the nation.
But of course, the issue here is trust issue on the part of Nigerians. Earlier on the show this morning, you spoke about the fact that Nigerians do not want to pay taxes. And of course, it has been established statistically that our tax to GDP ratio is quite low and all of that. But of course, the question that many Nigerians will ask is that even the ones we are paying, what is the government doing with all of these taxes that we are paying? I think that is where, the major challenge is for many Nigerians.
If you are really going along with me, I've mentioned something like that earlier in this discussion. How can you expect me to trust you when you don't earn it? You can't force trust on me. You can't force me to trust you. You can only earn my trust or earn my respect. As a head of the family, you are pleading with your family members, please, let us be managing what resources we have. there's no much money, the income is not coming, the business is not going well, all sorts of excuses. And people are ready to cooperate with you, only for them to see you enjoying pepper soup, fish pepper soup, enjoying assorted meat, enjoying different kind of beer, lavishing money. And tomorrow you still come back to that family members and say, please, I want you to understand, I want you to. They will not want to listen, even if they cannot do anything for you. Being the head, they will be grumbling. And you can't enjoy their full cooperation. That is what we are seeing in the country. And that is what I earlier mentioned here.
All right, now let's talk about the process of obtaining this tax ID. Now, people are asking the question, will I need to queue for biometrics to obtain the tax ID? And the response given by the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, talking of Mr. Taiwo Idele, is that no, the tax ID is simply a unique number linked to your identity and not necessarily a physical card. And to obtain it, you can visit the nearest FIRS, States, IRS, or JTB office, or apply online via the official website, and it is free of charge, according to the federal government. But like I said, the other time, trust issue, that is the challenge that many Nigerians may have. So what would be your charge, so to say, to the authorities in charge of this in making the process less cumbersome for Nigerians?
It is only the citizens, it is Nigerians, the masses, that will make it less cumbersome for themselves. How? By start now. Start registrations now, before the expiry date is close, and everybody will want to at the same time enter that portal. When the thing is populated, overpopulated, you won't get it as simple as you can get it now. It is still free. When the time has expired and everybody, we have a gate. We say start coming in. Nobody is coming in until rain started. And everybody will want to pass through that same gate the same time. We shouldn't wait for that. This thing will still cost money if care is not taken. Because by the time you need to go to FRSA office to register, and the staff there see thousands of people outside there, you will need to buy your way. If you need attention, you will need to buy your way. It won't be free any longer. But now that nobody is doing it, do your own now. You can be wiser than others. Do it now. And let others also do when they want to do.
All right. Now, the argument surrounding this new tax laws, about 4 of them signed by President Bola Tinubu. Some people believe that it's in a bid for Nigerians to pay more taxes and all of that. But of course, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, Mr. Taiwo Idele, has made some clarifications, as regards to this, that, well, Nigerians will not have to pay more taxes. In fact, Nigerians will pay less, than they used to pay in time past, especially for low-income earners, and those high net worth individuals who will pay more. So that is the philosophy behind the idea of this tax reform, and also to simplify tax administration system in Nigeria to make it less cumbersome for Nigerians. Instead of having to pay tax here and there, we have it all in one place, so it's more like simplifying the process. So I wanted to speak to this.
Yes, the part of advantage of this tax policy is to reduce double taxation, and moreover, it is also to reduce the expenses of the government on implementing or collection of tax. See, enforcement, what government spend on enforcement alone in the time past, sometimes is higher than the tax they want to collect. And moreover, the evil or havoc behind it before was mostly our tax enforcement officers concentrate on the low income earner. Yoruba will say, ẹni tí a bá lè mú là ń lẹ̀dí mọ́. But now, it will not be the same business as usual. The low-income earner will not be disturbed by any any tax enforcement agencies. Rather, the companies don't see. Before, I can tell you emphatically that many companies would take tax they would deduct tax from the salary of their staff, but they would not remit it before. But with this policy, with this tax ID, with the CAC registration number they want to nick up with the tax ID, those things will not be able to happen any longer. What belongs to government will go to government. What belongs to your pocket will remain in your pocket. No controversy about this thing. The question is, will our government be sincere with the masses? The policy is good. Just like any other policies. It's good. The policy is good. But the sincerity in executing it is what many people is afraid of. And it's really pushing people away from having so much interest in cooperating with them. Look at the set of the arms of a government we have. The mentality behind it is very perfect. Look at the issue of having PA, having SSA for this political office holder. It's very perfect. It's very good. But how do we execute it? How do we carry it out? How do we implement? By the time I'm being voted for to occupy a political office, and I put somebody that doesn't even know anything as my PA to compensate his political activities during the campaign, what do I expect to gain from that? Which advice will he or she give me? But if followed to letter, if the appointment of PA, SA, SSA is followed to letter, the mentality behind the creation, you will see that governance will be made easy. If our lawmakers in any chamber, both red or whatever they call it, green chamber, black chamber, red, white chamber, whatever chamber they belongs to, if they are really doing the work of legislators, the way the policy is being created and what is being meant for, check and balances, we will not have all these bad governance we have. But what do we see? We will have a good policy, we have good mentality, we have good concept, but execution is a big problem.
So you believe that this policy or these laws are good?
These laws are good. But I, for one person, like many other Nigerians, where is the trust when it comes to execution? And where is the trust when it comes to management of this tax? Because even when you have an occasion, you have a ceremony, no matter how much money you spend, if there's no management, at the end of the day, you will end up saying that you just mess up yourself in the day of occasion. Many people will not enjoy anything. Many people will not be able to eat and drink, and you have enough provision. But management. So also it's applying to our tax in this country. What is happening to our tax? The taxpayers, they are not happy about the way they see the lavishness of our people, of our leaders.
All right, now let's take a listen to what Mr. Taiwo Idili said, as regards some of the misconception surrounding the tax laws, which will take effect from January 2026. Let's take a listen to what he said in this particular interview.
What's the reforms? Thank you very much, Mr. Idili. Are all Nigerians now going to be paying more taxes under the new law?
No. Majority of Nigerians, more than 97%, will pay less taxes. Only the top 2-3% will pay slightly more.
Will market women and small traders now pay daily taxes?
No. The taxes they have been paying currently are so many and the burden is so high. Under the new law, they will not have to pay income tax, they won't have to charge VAT, no withholding tax, and the taxes they have to pay to local government and state, we're currently harmonizing them so they are limited to about 1 or 2.
Has the government started taxing rents, especially residential rents?
There has always been a provision in the law for people who own properties to pay tax on their rent. These new laws have not imposed new taxes. What we're trying to do is to make sure that those who have properties and rent pay the taxes they're supposed to pay under the law as part of their personal income tax.
So did you introduce new personal income tax rates?
No, we did not introduce new personal income tax rates. What we did was a reform of the personal income tax table and taxable income. 1, to eliminate taxes for low-income earners. 2, to reduce taxes for middle-income earners. 3, marginally increase the taxes for high net worth individuals.
Will small businesses be forced to start charging VAT?
Small businesses that were even charging VAT before are now exempted because the threshold for not charging VAT for small businesses have now been increased. They also won't have to worry about PAYE on the salary of their staff. They will not have to worry about withholding taxes. As a matter of fact, more than 98% of small businesses have now been exempted from a lot of taxes that they used to pay before.
Is it true that every online transaction will now be taxed?
No, it is not true that every online transaction will now be taxed. The taxes you pay is a function of what you do online. What we try to do is to make sure that you do not gain any undue advantage by operating online, the same way that you are not disadvantaged by operating online compared to someone doing their businesses offline. So if, for example, you provide professional services online and you make a lot of money, you pay the same tax that the person who is doing professional services is doing from their mom and pop shop. So this is about equality, it's about fairness and a level playing field.
Are you bringing back fuel subsidies through hidden taxes?
What we have is that there's a law that was enacted some years back with a surcharge on fuel under the FEMA Act. This is a provision that is now in the new tax law, and it does not take effect as of January 2026. I know some people have been giving wrong information about this. What is in the new tax law is that this surcharge will take effect on a date in the future based on an order to be released by the Minister of Finance. And we do know that Minister of Finance is responsible enough to determine when it's appropriate to do so. The intention is to earmark and dedicate the revenue from this tax into providing transport infrastructure that can reduce the cost of transporting items, logistics, and overall bring down inflation for the Nigerian people.
Do these laws give FIRS the power to seize people's accounts without warning?
No, nobody would do that. It would be unconstitutional to seize people's assets, including their bank accounts, without warning. Under the new tax laws, there are requirements for financial institutions, including banks, to make some reports depending on the volume of transaction. And once you have anything in your bank account or anywhere on which you have declared honestly, nobody will seize your account. But if you have tax liabilities to pay and you refuse to pay them, there were provisions in the old laws as they are in the new one for the taxman to take over your asset to recover the taxes that you owe. This is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's a provision you find in all tax laws across the world.
Does this mean new taxes on school fees and hospital bills?
There are no new taxes on school fees and hospital bills. In fact, what we've done is to remove the taxes we had previously on school fees and hospital bills. Not only is it that you will not pay taxes on those transactions, if you are into the business of running a school or a hospital and you have to, for example, pay value-added tax on the motor vehicle or school bus, on laptops, on mobile phone, everything that you incur VAT on, under the new regime, you get a refund of those taxes you pay. Not only is it that the tuition is tax-free, the cost of providing the education is equally tax-free. To be honest, under this new tax law, it's hard to find who pays more, because even the rich people that will pay a little bit more in terms of their personal income tax, they are gaining the benefits from their businesses, because most of the high net worth individuals run businesses. So the little amount they pay more from personal income tax, they benefit from the relief that their businesses will get. Overall, nobody should pay more tax under this new tax law. Government will make its own revenue from blocking evasion, blocking leakages, growing the economy. The more economic activities we have, the more prosperity you have around, the more tax revenue you can generate. These reforms were not set out to generate more revenue by extorting or extracting from the people. Rather, it's to simplify life and stimulate economic growth and shared prosperity. So don't believe the noise, don't run with the headlines, believe the numbers and the facts. You're entitled to not just your opinion, your informed opinion. So we encourage you, anytime in doubt, look for credible sources, including the fiscalreforms.ng website. We also have social media accounts where we have videos, explainers. We encourage you to follow that, get credible information, be informed, and do the right thing. God bless Nigeria.
You know, the main sound.
Thanks for sticking around. You're still on to Trending Live on Pensioners 106.10 FM. And this morning, we're still taking a look at the controversies surrounding that new directive by the federal government for all taxable Nigerians to obtain their tax ID or risking being denied access to banking services come January 2026. And of course, many Nigerians have been asking various questions as regards this directive. And on the show this morning, alongside my guest in the person of Mr. Kayode Atoleni, a financial expert, has also been trying to provide answers to some of this question. And right there, you listen to the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Mr. Taiwo Yedele, who also spoke about some things we should know as regards the new tax law, which will take effect from the year 2026, which is next year. Of course, the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Mr. Taiwo Yedele, explained that Nigerians, more than 97% of Nigerians, will pay less taxes, and only about 2 to 3% will pay a bit more. So, and of course, that is referring to the high net worth individuals, or high income earners, as the case may be. He also said that market men and women will not pay income tax, will not be charged VAT, no withholding tax, and of course the taxes being paid to local government and state government are currently being harmonized under the current administration. And of course, he said that there is no introduction of new personal income tax, because according to him, the philosophy behind the idea of this tax reform is to eliminate taxes for low-income earners, reduce taxes for middle-income earners, and of course to marginally increase taxes for high-income earners. He also said that small businesses, small-scale entrepreneurs have been exempted from charging VAT. In fact, 98% of them have been exempted from paying a lot of taxes that they used to pay in time past. And he also noted that it is not true that every online transaction will now be taxed. He also noted that the FIRS, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, does not have the power to actually freeze people's accounts without warning. Because some people have also been saying that, the FIRS under this new law will be empowered to freeze people's accounts without warning. He said that is unconstitutional and no federal government agency will embark on such. Of course, people with tax liabilities, after some warnings, may go through this, but this is only for those with tax liabilities. And he said that there is no introduction of new taxes on hospital bills, school fees, and all of those things. In fact, taxes have been removed from all of these essential services. So, of course, one may want to conclude that this policy or this laws actually meant for the betterment of each and every Nigerian. But, the question remains the implementation and the execution. That is where, the challenge is for many Nigerians. But aside that, some people also say that in as much as tax reforms are good, but the point is, taxes do not grow the economy. Some people will say that what grows the economy is production, increase in economic activities. That is what leads to growth, in a nation. So, Mr. Kayode Atolani, I want you to speak to this. Some people say that the federal government seems to be getting its priorities wrong, that what the federal government should focus on is production, increasing economic activities, and not necessarily, reforming the tax system in the nation.
Yes, Israel, those people that are arguing that way have their own point, and government that are focusing on revenue generation is having their own way too. And I, as a person, I view it from a different perspective. The reason behind that is when we're talking of increasing our productivities and we are taxing the low-income earner, the furniture maker on the street is being overburdened with tax. How can he improve the production of what he does? The local farmers that you are putting so much burden taxes on them, the traders, all these people, the artisans, we are saying under this policy they will not pay tax. One, when you don't pay tax, that means your income is likely to increase. When your income increases, that means your productivities will also increase. And mind you, at a point in time, you will also grow to that level of paying tax if you manage your resources well, if you manage your income well, since you don't pay tax. And by the time this productivity is being increasing, are we not saying, don't you think the productivities that is increasing will also reflect in the GPD of the nation? It will, definitely it will. That is when we will see the furniture maker making so much, tables, making so much cushions, making so much this, making so much that. You don't pay tax. You don't even pay, even on behalf of your staff. You don't pay. You increase your productivities.
So these laws are for the betterment of each and every Nigerian.
That is it. Only if it is being implemented well, with all sincerity from the part of the government, we're good to go.
No, of course, some people say we can't trust the Nigerian government based on the trajectory of of governance in this nation.
Well, I don't think I, as a person, can trust
the government as well.
I don't think so. I have not built that trust, or they've not earned it. But through this policy, the implementations, the execution, they might win my heart and the heart of other Nigerians.
Other Nigerians too. All right, now let's make some other clarifications as far as this tax ID issue is concerned. Of course, the federal government has explained that the directive is not a new one, or the policy rather is not a new one. It has been in place since the Finance Act 2019, which amended Section 49 of the Personal Income Tax Act. And since January 2020, individuals opening a business account have been required to provide a tax identification number. And the new Tax Administration Act only strengthens and harmonizes these requirements. And of course, those who already have TIN are not to worry as far as this new directive is concerned, because your existing TIN remains valid. In other words, if you already have one, you do not need to register again. But for those without a TIN, the tax identification number now, you will need your NIN or CAC registration document to process your tax ID. And of course, the tax ID is simply a unique number linked to identity and not necessarily a physical card. And you can visit the nearest FIRS or state IRS or JTB office, or applying online via the official website. And of course, people are also asking questions as regards this directive. Is this directive applicable to businesses? Yes. And that's the answer now, yes. According to the explanation given by Mr. Taiwo Idele, that for unincorporated businesses, your personal correct TIN or tax ID is sufficient. But for companies, NGOs, incorporated trustees, and other registered entities, a tax identification number will be automatically generated with the CAC registration details. And if your business was registered without a tax identification number in the post, you should simply visit the FIRS or apply online with your CAC document to get one. And Nigerians abroad can also obtain a tax ID using their NIN, for banking or investment purposes in Nigeria. And a simplified process has been introduced for Nigerians in diaspora. And so they can do well to visit the NIMC website for details. And of course, this directive also, this law also applies to foreign companies. Yes, those who do business in Nigeria, a non-resident company supplying goods or services to Nigerian customers must register for a tax ID. However, those earning only passive income may not need to register, though they must provide relevant information. But a company registered abroad but effectively managed or controlled in Nigeria is treated as resident and must comply. Of course, people are also asking that are government-owned enterprises and agencies exempted from this? And the answer is no. Section 5 of the NTA requires all ministries, departments, agencies, and government-owned enterprises to register for tax and obtain a tax ID. Okay, but of course, like you said, what concerns many Nigerians is, how would this be of benefit to me? Because I think that's the concern of many people as far as this policy is concerned, or this directive is concerned. And you said that these laws are meant for betterment, immense benefit to each and every Nigerian if executed properly. And I think that is where the challenge lies now. And of course, we hope that the authorities will do the needful as far as this is concerned. Oda ètò tápè ní bó ṣe ń lọ trending ọ̀nà lẹ́ngbẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ní ìkànnì pensioners 106.7 FM ìta ń gbéyẹ̀wò fún tààrọ̀ tòní òun náà ló ní ṣe pẹ̀lú awuyewuye eléyìí tó ń súyọ látàrí àṣẹ tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ pa wípé ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tí ó yẹ kó sanwó orí tá mọ̀ sí taxable Nigerian tí ò bá ní nọ́mbà àdánimọ̀ owó orí ìyún tax identification number ó ṣeé ṣe kúrò ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ kó mọ́ láǹfààní láti lo àwọn tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú báǹkì rẹ̀ mọ́ láti wo àpò àsùnwọ̀n rẹ̀ ní o àtàwọn nǹkan tí ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú báǹkì rẹ̀ pé ó ṣeé ṣe kó mọ́ láǹfààní àti lo gbogbo rẹ̀ mọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ọdún tí ń bọ̀ lọ tọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn sì ń pariwo pé so yẹ kí ó rí báyìí ẹ̀yìn tí à ń gbìyànjú láti tàmọ́lẹ̀ sí lórí ètò trending fún tààrọ̀ tò nínú ẹ sì láǹfààní àti pè wọlé 07066391367 09072852977 èmi àti Mr. Kayode Atolani tí wọ́n jẹ́ onímọ̀ nípa ètò ìnáwó ọ̀nà láti jọ wà nínú Colombia tí wọ́n sì ti ń ṣàlàyé fún wa àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ ká mọ̀ nípa àṣẹ tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ tí wọ́n pa ó dá lédè Yorùbá fáfàní àwọn tí wọ́n ń gbọ́ wa lé intel ṣàlàyé lẹ́ẹ̀kan lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì wípé òfin yìí o àbáṣe yìí o ó jẹ́ ní tí yóò jẹ́ àǹfààní fún àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà o ẹ fẹ́ ṣàlàyé fáwọn èèyàn wa lédè ti Yorùbá.
ẹ ṣe atọ́kùn ètò ohun tí à ń wí náà ni wípé òfin tí ìjọba ń sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí wípé ká lọ gba nọ́mbà ìdánimọ̀ tó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú ìsanwó orí pé tí a bá gbà a lè má ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ àti máa lo àpòsùnwọ̀n wa nílé ìfowópamọ́ àti tí a bá fẹ́ ṣe ohun tí à ń pè ní adójútòfò tí à ń pè ní insurance pé a ní lè ṣe kí ló fà á ni wípé ìjọba fẹ́ láti ní pé kí oníkálukú ní ìdánimọ̀ pẹ̀lú à ń sanwó orí a ò sanwó orí torí wípé nípa bẹ́ẹ̀ la fi lè mọ ẹni tó tówó orí san ẹni tó ní owó tó tó láti sanwó lé lórí àti ẹni tí kò ní owó tó tó láti má gba owó orí lọ́wọ́ wọn tí ìjọba ò bá ní